Hello everyone, my name is Dominique Connerly and I will be introducing to you CSUSB's space assignment and reassignment process using the space allocation and change request form. Before we get started, I will be using the word space often in this presentation, and by space, I mean both indoor and outdoor areas on campus, including instructional spaces, instructional support spaces, and non-state spaces. Facilities Planning, Design, and Construction, or FPDC, is a team of planning analysts, design professionals, construction management, and contract specialists who represent the interests of CSUSB campus departments. FPDC guides and assists through all phases of new building projects or renovations. FPDC will also coordinate the architects, contractors, and consultants needed to complete various projects. Additionally, FPDC is responsible for maintaining the consistency of rooms reported in the CSU Chancellor's Office Space and Facilities Database, or SFDB. A Space and Facilities Planning Manager, a role within FPDC, maintains the space and facilities inventory on campus while the president is accountable for the usage of all facilities. Each spring, the campus is required to submit a space inventory and utilization data to the Chancellor's Office. The data provided by each campus is then maintained by the CSU Chancellor's Office and compiled into the SFDB. The objective of the SFDB is to serve as a resource of information from multiple buildings into a single report by maintaining record of information on the type, number, and usage of all space on campus. The SFDB is used in the analysis of space needs, space utilization, and other space and facility-related issues and reports. Space is a central resource to the campus, and the assignment of it should be to satisfy and advance the mission of the university. No unit, department, or division owns the space that has been assigned to it, but all university personnel are charged with ensuring the best usage of space. To ensure this, there are opportunities for campus departments to request changes to optimize space usage. A typical space change request would include the assignment of a vacant space to a college or a division, the reassignment of space from a college or division to another, or a proposed change to the functional use of a space, for example, converting an office into a conference room. The Space Planning Advisory Committee, or SPAC, is responsible for reviewing individual requests for the assignment and reassignment of existing space. SPAC is comprised of a director or executive facility officer from FPDC, one person represented from each of the 5 university divisions, one appointee from the president's office, one appointee from the faculty senate, and one appointee from the Associated Students Incorporated. SPAC is responsible for working with the Space and Facilities Manager to ensure all space change requests are reasonable and in accordance with CSU guidelines. The process for a space change request can be quite tedious. It begins when a department expresses interest in renovating a space. This is done by completing the hard copy space allocation and change request form. After receiving the appropriate approvals from the department, the form is delivered to the FPDC Space Manager, who will review it with SPAC. If after SPAC reviews the requirements and assesses the space needs according to CSU planning guidelines, the request will be forwarded to the president for final review and approval. If the request does not meet the established guidelines, the committee will make adjustments and recommendations and send back to the department with their revisions. If the department accepts the revision, SPAC will submit to the president for final approval. Some of the common reasons why a request would not be approved include wanting to add more chairs than permissible in a space, or wanting to convert a space, yet the reclassification does not meet the square footage requirements. All of this information is available on the SFDB website. The proposed change for the space request process would be to make the entire application online. This new process would begin with the CSUSB department expressing interest in the space renovation. They would then complete the space allocation and change request form online via the FPDC website. After entering the specific space location, data would be retrieved from the SFDB. The data provides the requester immediate access to what changes are permissible. This form could then only be submitted with acceptable changes. If the space recommendations from the SFDB satisfy the needs of the department would then proceed with gathering all necessary approvals. The form would then be received by the space manager, where he will share the request with SPAC and approve or deny the request. If yes, the submission will get submitted to the president for final review and approval. This online process expedites the request as it eliminates potential delays in receiving recommendations if the request does not meet CSU standards. This chart is what the Space Manager and SPAC Committee utilize when evaluating whether a space change is permissible. When a campus department is inquiring about a space change, the SFDB would require the department to enter the following information, which would then populate information relating to allowable space renovations. Depending on the type of change requested, the department would have instant access to reclassification and even reassignments of space, including maximum number of seat allotments and acceptable space conversions. The information would be made available on the facility's planning and management website for departments to review and input into their online application. The benefits of electronic space requests are limitless. Firstly, there would be a huge reduction in paper usage, and CSUSB is gearing towards sustainability. Secondly, department approvers are constantly away from their desks, making it difficult to get the necessary signatures. Now, electronic signatures are becoming more popular as they allow for individuals to sign agreements from almost anywhere, thus allowing the process to be much quicker. Thirdly, the turnaround to know whether or not a space request has been approved would be much quicker. SPAC meets once a month, and depending on the time of submission, it could be weeks before the department receives a response. If SPAC returns the request with modifications, the department would need to wait an additional month to resubmit. Finally, SPAC meetings would be much more efficient, as now the committee would not have to spend time reviewing requests that would not be approved by the SFDB, as they don't adhere to CSU standards. They would also not need to spend time drafting recommendations to modify requests. SPAC would now only need to review space requests to ensure space change supports the goals of the university at large. A major barrier to the conversion of the space change to an online process would be the costs associated with implementation. Complex systems would need to be incorporated to link CSUSB documents and processes with CSU Chancellor's Office databases. Also, CSUSB's Information Technology Services Department is critical in the maintenance of this newly online project. There may be issues with coordinating between ITS and FPDC on establishing this new project. Lessons and recommendations. The use of information from the SFDB would allow for departments to know immediately whether the space change they are requesting is allowable. This could potentially eliminate the time delay if SPAC must send the request back to the department with recommendations. Also, feedback would be critical in the implementation of this new system. SFDB is a very complex resource, which may be difficult for some users to understand. Although SPAC may appreciate the changes, the requesters would perhaps need to be surveyed to gauge whether this new system is effective. Training courses may also need to be hosted to ensure a smooth transition. Thank you.